Hello, and welcome to Uplifting Stories. Today's story is called The Hard Way. We've all had to learn the hard way, unfortunately. Frank, I have one more errand for you. Then you may go and play the rest of the afternoon. Yes, Father, thanks. What is it that you want me to do? Frank's father went behind the counter and he drew out a little drawer. The man handed his son a silver dollar and said, "You may carry this to the widow Boardman, but be careful not to lose it." "I'll be careful," promised Frank, and then he went out the door. It was his first day of vacation. The boy felt so happy as he trudged along the road. He was thinking of the good days ahead. He had 2 whole weeks without any school. Maybe it was the pleasant day outside. Sunlight and fresh air has something always to do with making a person happy. But something else helped make him happy as well, although he wasn't thinking about it. He had tried to do his best to do what was right, and when we do what is right, it always leaves a good, uplifting feeling. Mrs. Boardman lived some distance up the road. Frank had already passed the schoolhouse and the little pond, and he was passing the willow grove, when suddenly he decided to make a whistle to blow along the way. So putting the dollar in his jacket pocket, he climbed over the fence and cut several willow trees. He went along with the twigs in his hand until he reached a log lying on the grass plot by the roadside. Here he sat down and he made himself 2 whistles. They sounded wonderful. As he shut the widow's gate, Frank put his hand in his pocket to take out the dollar, so that he might have it ready to go when she came to the door. But it wasn't there. Thinking he felt in the wrong pocket, he put his hand in the other one, fully expecting to feel the dollar between his fingers. But it wasn't there. Frank felt alarmed at this point. Could he have lost it? He searched carefully in every pocket, but the dollar was lost. He turned around and slowly went back, looking carefully along the road for his lost dollar. He searched around the log, around the willow grove, by the roadside, every step of the way, but no matter where he went, no dollar. At length he finally sat down upon the log to consider what he should do. The dollar was lost. There was no doubt about it. His father had told him to be careful, and he hadn't been. Now what should he do? Well, his first thought was to go back to the store and tell his dad what he did. This would be the right thing to do, but he did not like to go, for he knew his father would blame him for his carelessness. Frank decided instead that he would not go to his father with it. He would then go and play with the boys instead for a while. Perhaps his father would never know. At any rate, he would not tell him right now. So he got up from the log and walked slowly toward the schoolhouse playground. Soon he was playing with the boys. In the evening, Frank went home and sat down at the supper table with his family. Soon after the blessing had been said, while his brothers and sisters were talking to each other about what they had been doing all day, Father turned to him and said, "Oh, Frank, did you take that dollar up to her?" "Yes, sir," answered Frank promptly. The question was asked so suddenly that he had no time to make up his mind on what he was going to say. He felt less like telling the truth than he had at first. It seemed so hard to do. He thought to take the easy way out by just answering yes and hoping nobody would know. Poor boy, he had not learned yet that it was the hard way and not the easy way. Soon after supper, Frank went upstairs to bed. When he said his evening prayer, he didn't feel that God was listening to him at all, and he just passed a restless night. In the morning he woke up to find the sun shining into his room. Leaping out of the bed in high spirits, he began to get dressed. Suddenly he thought of that lost dollar, and this blotted out all of his happy feelings. The day went by slowly. Frank was troubled by the fear that his father would find out about the lost dollar. Yet he found it even harder every hour to make up his mind to tell him what had happened. In the evening, Frank could endure it no longer. The easy way had indeed become the hard way to him. While sitting in the front room, he made up his mind to go and tell the matter. He started toward the study where his father was. Every step in the right direction gave him new strength. He opened the study door and he came to the table where his father sat writing. "Well, Frank," Father said kindly, "what is it?" "Oh, Father," said the boy. But he couldn't go on. He bowed his head upon the table and he just cried. In a few minutes, Frank raised his head and he began again. "I want to tell you, Father, but it was just too much." "Wait a minute, Frank. Let me tell you first," said the father. You want to tell me that you didn't carry the money up to Mrs. Boardman, that you lost it all on the way, and that last night you told me a lie about it, and that you felt wretched the whole time. You wanted to tell me, but you didn't dare. Is that it?" "Yes, Father," cried Frank. "You wanted to take a way that you thought would be easier than the right way, yet you've now found that it is a great deal harder to deal with." Frank knew that that was true. He saw that he might have spared himself a great deal of trouble and problems and sorrow by choosing the right way. To help Frank remember, it was decided he should earn a dollar as soon as he could and take it to Mrs. Boardman. Frank set about earning his dollar. Before vacation was over, he carried it with a light heart to Mrs. Boardman. The strangest part of the whole matter was that while Frank was returning from her house, his shoe struck something hard. He looked down, and he saw the silver dollar that had been lost. When we take a look at Frank and his story, we find ourselves in that predicament again and again in life. We have to remember that it is much easier to do what is right in the long run. We don't have to deal with the guilt. We don't have to deal with the problems. That stuff will eat you up inside. And we need to remember that God cares, and He will help us if we try to do what was right. Even if we make a mistake, He will be there with us through it. I thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.